Hi everybody, it's Mrs. Inman, and I'm here to read to you. I am still reading Full of Beans. We're over halfway through now though, because we're on chapter 14, Lessons. It was September, and all across Key West, kids were bawling their eyes out, because even though almost everyone had been laid off, the town still somehow managed to employ the teachers, which meant we had to go back to school. The grammar school was on Division Street, and my mother liked to tell us that we were going to Division Street to learn division. Hardy har. On our way to school, we saw men working. Mr. Stone directed them as they carried a tall metal can of some kind. On the corner, please, he instructed them, and they put it down with a bang. He saw me standing there. So what do you think, Peas? It's beans. Of course, he said. So what do you think of these new trash receptacles? Huh? The garbage cans, he explained. We bought them at considerable expense. I think it'll make a real difference. He was spending money to put garbage cans around Key West. What was he going to do next? Put gold and diamonds on the outhouses? I just shook my head. In my opinion, it was the grown-ups who needed to go back to school. There was a big map of the world on the wall in our schoolroom. I found myself staring at New Jersey, wondering about Poppy. It just seemed so far away. Our teacher's name was Miss Sugarapple, but there was nothing sweet about her. She liked to give us tests. Seemed like we had one every other day. Today was a geography quiz. You have a half hour to complete this test, Miss Sugarapple told us. Around the room, pencils started flying, but I just stared at my paper. We were supposed to write the names of countries in Europe, and I didn't know where to begin. If she'd given us a test on the names of the lanes of Key West, well, I've got an A. There was a knock on the classroom door, and a little boy appeared. The principal wants to see you, Miss Sugarapple, the kid said, and our teacher followed him out. The door shut, and I stood up. I might not be good at geography, but I knew where things were located. I walked up to Miss Sugarapple's desk, and I borrowed a pencil, or at least I made it appear like I was going to borrow a pencil. My eyes scanned the desk, looking for the answer sheet. Hurry, Pork Chop said. Every kid in the room stopped what they were doing and watched me. Finally, I found the sheet underneath the grocery list. I had started to stuff it down my pants when our teacher walked in the room, and her eyes met mine. My punishment was to stay after school and write, I will not steal 200 times on the chalkboard in cursive. I hope you learned your lesson, Miss Sugarapple told me. I had. The next time, I stick that answer sheet up my shirt. I wasn't the only one getting in trouble at school, though. We were doing our spelling lesson when I heard barking, a very familiar barking. A while later, I was called in the principal's office. Mr. Mason was a cranky-looking man with a big, bushy mustache. I didn't blame him for being cranky. I wouldn't have wanted to work here either. Follow me, he said. Waiting outside the front door, barking his head off, was Termite. I understand this is your dog, Mr. Mahone said. He's been barking outside all morning. Sorry, I said. He must have got out and followed me here. I walked Termite home and put him in the house. He was barking at the school by lunchtime. Termite was even a worse student than me. Some kids would do anything to avoid going to school. They'd say they had a bellyache or their ears hurt. Kermit was fond of that trick. The kid said he felt sick nearly every other day. The sun was up and I already was dressed and ready to go, and Kermit refused to get out of bed. Shake a leg, I told him, or we're going to be tardy. The lump of blankets didn't move. I knew he was just pretending to be asleep. And Termite whined. Maybe he's dead and we'll finally get this room all to ourselves, I told the dog. I yanked the blanket off Kermit. Get up! And then I gasped because Kermit was soaking wet. Did you have an accident? I asked, and I shook him. Kermit blinked at me in confusion. My throat hurts, he croaked. Kermit was burning up with fever. He cried, saying his throat hurt, his ankles hurt. He lay in bed, drifting in and out of sleep. That's when I knew he was really sick. No kid lays in bed all day, even to avoid school. My mother fetched the doctor. Your boy's got rheumatic fever, he told her. My mother paled. What do I do? Give him some aspirin to keep his fever down. Other than that, just make sure he stays in bed and rests. But he'll be fine, won't he? My mother asked. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. If his heart is stressed, he could die, the doctor said. Die? I whispered. Yes, he replied. I looked at the bedroom and I looked at my brother shivering in his bed. And for the first time in my life, I wish a grown-up would just lie to me. So that's the end of our chapter. And I'll be reading to you again soon. Our next one is 15, arithmetic. I wonder what's going to happen to poor Kermit. See you later.